class 4 of the Law of Attraction and Creation at the Center for Spiritual Living, Asheville. And what we always do when we begin something is create it. We set our intention. And in this class, we are doing it through spiritual mind treatment. So take a deep breath if you want to. I don't really care. We're just going to jump into it. And what I know is that God is in this place. There is a presence and a power of love divine that is in through all things. It is life itself. It is the creative process of all form. And I know that each one of us is made out of that divine force, that flow, that livingness of life itself. We are points of awareness in the life of God. Each one of us is created out of spirit itself. And so we have within us that same creative power that made all of life, universe layers, time and space, heaven and earth, everyone, everywhere, every when, that is in us. And I know that we open to that creative ability and direct it with the power of our thought. So right now, we think thoughts of love, we think thoughts of joy, we think thoughts of happiness, we think thoughts of prosperity, we think thoughts of health, because we know that what we think we bring into our experience right here and right now. I know for each and every one of us that we awaken to the splendor that we are. We see it in ourselves and everybody else. We are gods among gods. Right here and right now, I know that we live the rich divine life that is ours to live because we do that. We think clearly, our minds are clear, our hearts are open, and we live our lives as the God being we were meant to live. And with great gratitude and thanksgiving, I let this go because I know we've done the important work. The important work is within. And as we do the work within, the outer reflects it back to us. So we just let it go and let life do its thing. And together we say, and so it is. Wonderful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. There's a seat there next to Donald. There's a couple of seats over here if you want to come in. Welcome, welcome. So, last week we did health and the law of attraction and creation. It was great. It was a fantastic class. I watched it on YouTube. And if you haven't seen some of the classes on YouTube, they're really great. You can see your heads. And by the way, you can hear the people sitting closest to the camera and the comments that they make, and you can see me. So if you want to get a review of any of that, or if you want to get it to your friends, let them know that they can be a part of this class, you're welcome to do that. Last week's class, we had homework. What was the homework? 15 minutes of appreciation gone wild on your body. What did you learn from that? Karen.
I actually had my knee that's bothered me for over a year to pop and crack, and it now will bend more than it ever has been.
Your knee is healing.
Yay!
Of your knee, and it heals. Amazing. What else did you learn? Yes, Sandy.
No anxiety attacks for a week.
No anxiety attacks for a week. Yay! We're going to put the medical profession out of business. Who else? Ben.
I learned how amazing my neck is.
How amazing your neck is. Yes. Who else? You know what I learned? I learned that it's easier for me to do 15 minutes of appreciation gone wild on money than it is to do it on my body. I could do it on my body, but I would get 2 or 3 minutes in and just kind of feel done. And so I really had to work it. And sometimes I had to expand the particular body part I was thinking about. Like I did my stomach one day, and then the next day I did my whole digestive tract, and that was easier because I could go to different areas. But I want to acknowledge 15 minutes is a long time, but what do you do when you do that? You change the physiology of your body because you flood your body with love, acknowledgement, appreciation, you uplift it, and then it works for you. What else did you learn?
I learned just the opposite of what you learned. That it was the easiest thing in the world for me to do it on my body, but compared to anything else, specifically money.
So it was easier to do it on your body than to do the money. Good to know. You know, this is like crash therapy. Who else? Kate. Wow, so you're a physical therapist and you go into people's homes and you work with them for certain physical needs. And I'm saying this for the camera, and you've taught them how to do this and they've changed. You light bearer, you. Big, big.
I realized how disconnected from my body I typically am, and what a good idea it is being connected to my body.
Yay, it's a good idea. If you want your body to work for you, it's a good idea to be connected. And if you want anything to work in your life, it's a good idea to appreciate it. And if you appreciate your physical body will actually shift. Who else learned something? Michael.
I had the same thing, money was easier.
You were bored with appreciating money?
No, with the body.
Okay.
Because I didn't have anything to go wrong, man. Whatever I did focus on, right, I was shooting my hair, so my head was tingling. Whatever I focused on.
You appreciated your hair growing on your scalp and it tingled.
My whole head.
Wow. Very cool, Michael. Yay, Michelle. Well, they say that what is it, Rogaine works just because you rub it in. You're just giving some attention to that part of you. Michelle.
But I'm physically capable of anything.
You are.
I've done everything.
Yes.
I
Yes. Are you a marathon bike rider? No, but you ride far distances every day.
I do.
Yes. Good for you, good for you. Yay, thank you, thank you. Who else? What'd you learn from your 15 minutes? Patty.
Last night, I missed like the last 2 days during my 15 minutes of appreciation. And in the middle of the night, my cat woke me up, and I was getting out of the bed, and I did something to resist. And my first thought was, you know, I must just keep it out of the
Oh, good, you shut your mouth. Yay, yay.
The story about John and his hand.
His hand,
And
yeah.
I said, oh, let me go take care of the cat and I'll come back. So I appreciated my rest until I fell asleep and
That's great, that's great. I find those times in the middle of the night when I'm awake to be very opportune times to do appreciation, to do meditation, to do treatment work, and it's not long before it knocks me right out. Good for you, Patty. Yes, Sue.
I realized in this exercise how little attention I gave to my body. It was from the beginning. It was like, oh, you finally realized I was here. You know, it's interesting. I just, you know, and each day there was like almost like a response, like, thank you for finally thinking about me and, you know, giving me some attention.
Yes, your body really loves to have attention. Good, good for you, Sue. Who else? What did you learn from this? This is your homework. This is in lieu of papers and books and all of that stuff. So I really do expect you to read it. Yes, Tom.
I learned that all 8 levels of consciousness, from the metaphysical to the physical, have to all be integrated for me to have perfect health.
Great. Did you do 15 minutes of appreciation
Oh,
on your
yeah.
body? Good.
Well,
Yay.
that brought me to this quantum shamanic book that explained it all to me.
Wonderful. I'm glad that you did it. Yes, Elaine. Nice. Yes, because I don't think your body really cares what part you're appreciating, as long as you appreciate it.
But I did know that in the past, sometimes that the glory of practice and places and stuff, that has been much less.
Yay. Yay. John, what did you tell me about the news report you saw about teeth?
Harvard Medical School has found a way to stimulate broken teeth to regrow themselves. Yeah, using light and vibration.
Yay. Yay. So we're gonna break the
Fillings
tooth
may
and
soon
then
be
just heal it.
Yeah, fillings may soon be an idea of the past.
Yes. Yay. Who else? What'd you learn? Yes, Jane.
I learned, I did an appreciation of my face, and I learned that it really was true. That's right, that my face always looks great. And I hadn't really thought that before the class, but when I looked at my face, I just thought, gee, it does looks pretty good.
You're gorgeous.
Good for you. You are metamorphosing here. Okay, one more person. How was your 15 minutes of appreciation gone wild on your body? I loved it. I loved it. I loved focusing, but I'm pretty caught up in myself anyway, so. But I loved focusing on certain things. I did my sinuses, I did my lungs, I did my stomach, did my digestive tract, did my hands, I did my nails one day. I love my nails, did my feet, it was great. I loved it, and I loved having that discipline of putting positive energy into my body, because when I put positive energy into my body, I bring into my experience the reflection and the attraction of that positiveness. And so many people go all day, every day, criticizing how they look, thinking that they're about to get some terminal illness and die, worried about every step they take. And what they do is they bring that into their experience. So if you want to, and I'm not going to force you to do this, I have another one for you tonight, but if you want to keep doing that, and certainly if you think that you've hurt something, set it aside. I love that. It's like, what is that class you do, Love and Logic? I'm not going to argue with you right now. I'll argue with you later. I'm not going to deal with the potential injury right now. I'll deal with it later, and then go do what you need to do, and then come back and just start appreciating your body and watch how it shifts from thinking it's going to be hurt to thinking it's fine. Great. Yes?
One night realized what I was writing about whatever part I was on, those qualities are what I appreciate about myself as a person.
Good, good.
And that really surprised me.
Good for you, good for you, wonderful. Okay, we're doing a class on love and the law of attraction and creation. Love.
Okay. All right, I'll think of some other words for you. Okay, go ahead.
You were going to talk about love. No, I'm giving it to you. It's your turn now. So since John is here, we're gonna include the dynamics of our relationship.
As Barbara said, we're going to talk about love. Because love is the foundational attribute of relationships, right? I mean, can one have a healthy relationship and not include the concept of love? Probably not. So what is this thing, love? How many of you were here for my my message yesterday? Heard me? Okay. I did that the tone scale, the emotional tone scale.
Okay.
Did any of you wonder why love wasn't on that list? Well, my reason for it not being on the list, and I have a lot of support around this, is that love is not an emotion.
How can you say that?
So let's play with the idea of what love is if it's not an emotion. If love doesn't sit somewhere between contentment and joy. What could it be? Well, I met a shaman from Mexico many years ago, and he had a theory, and I was captivated by what he shared with me. He started talking about molecular physics and the idea of atoms with electrons flying around the nucleus. And if you talk to any physicists now, they'll tell you that those are all probabilities. It's not that there's something real there, it's a probability, you have enough of it, and it starts looking like something. But that something causes that molecular structure or that atomic structure to hold together. And physicists have been theorizing on this for generations. What if the thing that holds the molecular structure together is love? Then it's everywhere. It's always everywhere. You can't get away from it. You know, we talk about outer space and how it's different than the atmosphere here, but there's still all kinds of atoms. Looking around all through the universe. There's not a place where there isn't something going on. Waves or particles, they're everywhere, always. It's part of the nature of the universe. And something holds that all together. What if it's love? And what if what we do is not take love or give love or withhold love? What if all we are is aware of love or not aware of love? What if that's what's going on? And when I say, I love you, what I'm saying is, I'm aware of the presence of the divine. Because if that is present everywhere, omnipresent as that, it must be God. So maybe love is the presence of the divine, which is omnipresent, everywhere, always. If that's the case, then that fits pretty nicely into this idea that the oneness of the universe is absolute, and that we are either aware of it or we're not. So that when somehow we feel that we have experienced unrequited love, I loved you, but you didn't love me back. But that is basically garbage. But that's not what's happening. And then there are the Greeks and all their lovely ideas for levels of love. I don't think so. I think all there is love. I think the presence of the divine is love. God is love. That's the truth. There are songs about God is love. And I think that there's a universal truth in that. So what we're doing when we say, I love you, is simply saying, I am aware of the presence of God when I look into your eyes, when I'm near you. Doesn't that feel good? You know, doesn't that fit nicely into our teaching? The idea that no one can keep love from you. It is constantly present. You can choose to fall into despair and pretend like somehow something is keeping love from you. I remember my Native American teacher, Rocking Bear. A woman came to him once and said, I can't find love in my life. There's no love here. And he said, what, did all the trees die? You know, that's everywhere. So why play a game like somehow I'm lost or I'm unlovable or I'm somehow out of this that is omnipresent. Somehow everything else has to do with love all over the place but not me. That's just not reasonable. It must be that it's always here. So when I get up in the morning and I tell Barbara that I love her, what I'm saying is I see God in you. And I recognize the God in me when I experience the God in you. And by doing that, I'm awake, alive, aware, and fully present with the idea of love. And the idea that someone could keep love from me is a ridiculous notion. Love is everywhere, always. All I have to do is acknowledge it, be present with it, know who I am. And then nobody can take that from me. I'm lovable. I am love. I'm the presence of the divine. And so are you. And from that place, it takes all of that stuff about love out of the picture, that idea of giving, receiving, not giving, whatever you want to play. All that is gone. There are no degrees of love. There's only love. And it's always here. So the only thing you need to do is be aware of it. That's all you need to do. And the phrase is, I love you. And that takes you right there. And however you're experiencing that in your body is your business. However you're experiencing that in your mind is your business. But it always works. It will always take you to that place of recognizing that no one can keep God from you. No one can keep love from you. It's who you are. It's your essence. And with that, no more problems with love. Good start? All right. Any questions or thoughts? Somebody want to challenge me on that? Yes.
You could still, if you just call it the vibrational tone scale, you can just put it at the top.
No, I'm not going to do that. Then I got to go to the top to get love.
We'll make it go all the way around.
It's all there. It's always there. In fact,
that's cool.
To me, it transcends tonal scales. It transcends vibration. It is the presence of the divine. It cannot be denied. It cannot be relegated anywhere, anyway. It's always there. And from that place, I can't be denied. Neither can you. So that's where I go when when you want to play.
Right.
I mean, I believe in that idea of what I was sharing with you yesterday about the vibratory levels of our emotional states. I absolutely think that the lightness at the top is very different from the heaviness at the bottom. But love transcends all of that. It transcends all of that. It always is present. And all we have to do is remember who we are, and it's there. And we have to remember who each other are, and it's always there. and it transcends thought, it transcends emotion. So that's my view. You're welcome.
So what I find when I try to put that in use, in action, is that I get very distracted by all the other people in my life. And even though I may be very committed to being aware of the presence of love, it's the other people in my life that seem to trip me up. And I read this little story a while ago, and it just changed the way I saw people. So I offer this to you. And it's a little bit long, and I'm going to read it. So take a deep breath. It's called The Egg by Andy Weir. You were on your way home when you died. It was a car accident. Nothing particularly remarkable, but fatal nonetheless. You left behind a wife and 2 children. It was a painless death. The EMTs tried their best to save you, but to no avail. Your body was so utterly shattered, you were better off, trust me. And that's when you met me. What happened, you asked? Where am I? You died, I said matter-of-factly. No point in mincing words. There was a truck and it was skidding. Yep, I said. I died? Yep. But don't feel bad about it. Everybody dies, I said. You looked around. There was nothingness, just you and me. What is this place, you asked? Is this the afterlife? More or less, I said. Are you God, you asked? Yep, I replied. I'm God. My kids, my wife, you said. What about them? Will they be all right? That's what I like to see, I said. You just died and your main concern is for your family. That's good stuff right there. You looked at me with fascination. To you, I didn't look like God. I just looked like some man or possibly a woman, some vague authority figure maybe, more of a grammar school teacher than the Almighty. Don't worry, I said. They'll be fine. Your kids will remember you as perfect in every way. They didn't have time to grow contempt for you. Your wife will cry on the outside, but will be secretly relieved. To be fair, your marriage was falling apart. If it's any consolation, she'll feel very guilty for feeling relieved. Oh, you said, so what happens now? Do I go to heaven or hell or something? Neither, I said. You'll be reincarnated. Ah, you said, so the Hindus were right. All religions are right in their own way, I said. Walk with me. You followed along as we strode through the void. Where are we going? Nowhere in particular, I said. It's just nice to walk while we talk. So what's the point then, you asked? When I get reborn, I'll just be a blank slate, right? A baby. So all my experiences and everything I did in this life won't matter. Not so, I said. You have within you all the knowledge and experiences of all your past lives. You just don't remember them right now. I stopped walking and took you by the shoulders. Your soul is more magnificent, beautiful, and gigantic than you can possibly imagine. A human mind can only contain a tiny fraction of what you are. It's like sticking your finger in a glass of water to see if it's hot or cold. You put a tiny part of yourself into the vessel, and when you bring it back out, you've gained all the experiences it had. You've been a human for the last 48 years, so you haven't stretched out yet and felt the rest of your immense consciousness. If we hung out here for long enough, you'd start remembering everything. But there's no point in doing that between each life. How many times have I been reincarnated then? Oh, lots and lots and lots, and into lots of different lives, I said. This time around, you'll be a Chinese peasant girl in 540 AD. Wait, what? You stammered? You're sending me back in time? Well, I guess technically time as you know it only exists in your universe. Things are different where I come from. Where you come from, you said? Oh, sure, I explained. I come from somewhere else. And there are others like me. I know you'll want to know what it's like there, but honestly, you wouldn't understand. Oh, you said a little let down. But wait, if I get reincarnated to other places in time, I could have interacted with myself at some point. Sure, happens all the time. And with both lives only aware of their own lifespan, you don't even know it's happening. So what's the point of it all? Seriously, I asked? Seriously, you're asking me for the meaning of life? Isn't that a little stereotypical? Well, it's a reasonable question, you persisted. I looked you in the eye. The meaning of life, the reason I made this whole universe, is for you to mature. You mean mankind, you want us to mature? No, just you. I made this whole universe for you. With each new life, you grow and mature and become a larger and greater intellect. Just me? What about everyone else? There is no one else, I said. In this universe, there's just you and me. You stared blankly at me, but all the people on earth, all you, different incarnations of you. Wait, I'm everyone? Now you're getting it, I said with a congratulatory slap on the back. I'm every human being who ever lived or who will ever live. Yes. I'm Abraham Lincoln and you're John Wilkes Booth too, I added. I'm Hitler, you said appalled, and you're the millions he killed. I'm Jesus and you're everyone who followed him. You fell silent. Every time you victimized someone, I said, you were victimizing yourself. Every act of kindness you've done to yourself. Every happy and sad moment ever experienced by any human was or will be experienced by you. You thought for a long time. Why, you asked, why do all this? Because someday you will become like me, because that's what you are. You're one of my kind. You are my child. Whoa, you said incredulous. You mean I'm a god? No, not yet. You're a fetus. You're still growing. Once you've lived every human life throughout all time, you will have grown enough to be born. So the whole universe, you said, is just an egg, I answered. Now it's time for you to move on to your next life. And I sent you on your way. Isn't that amazing? That every person in the world is you. It adds a whole new dimension to oneness. Not that we're one and we're connected and that we're all part of a greater whole, but that we really are each other. There's a Mayan phrase, in Lakin, and it is, you are another myself. And this takes it just one step farther, you are myself. So that when we're looking at this poem that John wrote so beautifully for the beginning of his book, 5 Steps to Freedom, I live in a world created by love. Love is what I am. In all that I think and say and do, love is what I am. Before me, behind me, around me, inside me, love is what I am. I'm filled, overflowing, and clear in my knowing, love is what I am. As we're living that, for me, it has become infinitely easier and opened me up to so much more compassion to say, that's not a dumb shit, that's me, that's me. That's not someone who just blew it, that's me. That's not a great, amazing person that's far away from me. That's literally me. And as I come together with myself, how am I going to be with me? Just like, Sue, you were saying that your body was so shocked that you paid attention to it. The other one of us sometimes is shocked that we actually move into love with it. And think about your relationships, your marriages, your significant others. That's you. That's literally you. And so when I read that, it was just like this explosion in my brain, and being able to play at that level that says, I am you, I am you, I am you, I am you, I am you. All of a sudden, I could put myself in someone else's shoes very easily because at some level they were my shoes, and I could look around through their life and things made so much more sense. So I invite you to do that. I know it's kind of wild, but this is Barbara just getting a little wild. I tell you, I have been held in too long, so I'm just going to go out there. You are me and I am you. And so if there's anything going on in my life, not only is it my disowned self that I've suppressed because, God forbid, I should have some qualities that were not approved of in some previous experience in my life, suppressed it, denied it, and then because everything has to come out and be reflected back, I project it onto someone else, and then after I've projected it onto that, they become that to me because I did that, and then I blame them for what I did. I did it all. And not only am I standing over here just manipulating the heck out of you so that you become the person that I expect you to be, and then you become it, no big surprise there. I attract it out of you, I create it out of you, but I am literally the one being manipulated and created. I am that. Think about it. Think about the relationships that you've been in that have gone by the wayside. That dirty, rotten, rackin' friendship. You know they did you wrong. Oh, you know they did you wrong. No, they didn't. They didn't do anything but give you exactly not only what you wanted, but gave you what you are. There's a statement in metaphysics that is, it cannot be in your experience if it's not in your consciousness. And what that means is that you hold within you a certain experience, and then someone else brings that into your life, because again, we live in a reflective and vibratory universe. Everything that's going on inside of us is brought into our experience, and we do it with people, we do it with money, we do it with situations. I did it with cars for a long time. I was big on acting out with cars. I did it. The car was a neutral experience. It could have run or not run as I chose. But I was the one who chose to make it break down, to fill some kind of a need to say, look at me, I don't have my life together, I'm a mess over here. And so things would do that. That's why when you come to help in the office, the first thing we say is everything in this office is a reflection of your consciousness. So don't come to me telling me something's not working. The only reason it's not working is because you're not working. So take a deep breath, love the printer, love the computer, love the sound system. And when you do that, you bring out from that the situation that is reflective and a manifestation of love. And what is love but that awareness of the presence of spirit? Spirit's not broken. So if you have broken stuff in your life, you haven't loved it enough. Doesn't matter what you think it is. Doesn't matter if it's the kid who's not doing what they're supposed to do, or the government, or the laws, or the weather, or whatever you picked to act out a sense of separation. It doesn't matter. It's all you. And the only thing you've got going for you in this life is to love you. And if you can't do it just full-hearted inside of you, you will act it out in people and circumstances and situations so that you can practice loving on the outside. The only job you have to do is to love. Start with yourself. That means that you've got to change the stories inside of you that say, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I made that mistake. Oh, I've got a closet filled with skeletons. How crazy is that? And when you can change the story that you don't have any skeletons, you are the skeletons, you are everybody else, so who are you hiding yourself from? When you can change that story as to how you see yourself into absolute pure love, I'm cool, I'm great. I tell you, I would rather be talked about as the Barbara who's got a big ego along with her big hair and her big mouth. I would rather be talked about that way than be some kind of mousy person in the corner who's timid and afraid of life. I'd rather jump into life and make mistakes and pick myself up, dust myself off, and keep on going than never try it. You are the thing, the person, the experience in your life that is calling your attention to where you need to grow and love more. Your only job is to love. If you've got anything that's a ripple, there's a ripple in the force. That's only a lack of love. So if you have anything going on in your life, it is your job to love it. And chances are you've got somebody close to you that's going to give you a chance to practice that love. They're giving you a chance to practice that love. They love you so much, they're willing to point out where you may need to heal a little bit in your life. And we have the nerve to get mad at them. When really it's us. So what is that? We have something inside of us that we have judged to not be of spirit. We suppress it, we deny it, we project it. we act it out, we create it, and then we react to that projection as if it's some kind of an insult when it all came from us to begin with. It's like getting in the shower after working all day and you're covered with dirt and you get mad at the dirt as it goes down the drain. That's the purpose of the shower. This is the purpose of your relationships, is to wash you off, to clean you up. And if all you do is pretend that that's something outside of you, something different than you, it's actually you. If all you do is pretend that you're different, you're separate, because really you're trying to hide the skeletons and the guilt in your closet so that nobody sees what is so obvious. Emerson said, "Who you are speaks so loudly I cannot hear what you say." You know, you're trying to hide that, and then somebody comes and says, "I love you so much, I'm just going to kind of help you see." And we go, "You dirty rotten, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to make you have pain." And then we wonder why our lives don't work. Well, I don't know. I would like to be a good person. I would like to be a spiritual person. I would like to love, but these people just keep bothering me. Not only are we interconnected, but we are each other. And I have found that when I can say, what is it that is going on inside of me? What is my sabotage? What is my withhold? What is my smallness that's going on? What is my lack of self-worth? What is my fear that I take all the heat off of everyone else and I can look at that and do something with it? And the first thing is not to go into therapy. The first thing is to love that part of you. Everybody's got it. Everybody's got fear. Everybody's got withhold. Everybody's got smallness. Everybody's got everything. So if it comes up and we love it, we bring it back into alignment with the awareness of the presence of Spirit as us, and things get better. Our knee heals. When we were in class months ago, I told you that you needed to love that knee. You didn't want to hear it. No, you didn't want to hear it. And when you love the knee, which is so reflective of all of the things of not moving forward and all of that in life, when you love that part of us, it can come back into alignment with the spiritual being that we are and just move on. Our only job is to love. We get so tripped up. God, don't you just love a good blame? Don't you just love that? Don't you watch movies? Go to movies, watch television? What was it? Desperate Housewives. You know, all of these murder mysteries, and the first 3 minutes is the murder. And the rest of the show is the blame, the stalking, the catching, the punishing. It's because people feed off of that. Or you can say, there is that within me that murders. Sure you do. If you're not murdering physically this lifetime, you have. You certainly have the potential to. People say, "Oh, I would never do that." You have no idea what you would do until you're in that situation. You have no idea what you would do. Somebody comes in here with a subatomic, submachine gun, subatomic particle. They come in here with a submachine gun and somebody goes and jumps on them and everybody's, caught up in that moment. You don't know what you would do. You don't know what you have done. You don't know what you will do. There is that in human consciousness that is in all of us. And when we get all separate and say, that's bad, that's wrong, I would never, oh, there's a bug. Murderer. There's a hamburger, really. Greenhouse emissions, I always heard that if you want to stop global warming, stop eating hamburgers. But far be it from me to get political. So there is that within us, and if we can have the compassion inside of ourselves, that, I got to just finish up with that. Greg Brady says global warming is perfectly normal, and it happens every 22 million years or something like that. And if it wasn't happening, he said we'd be in trouble. So who knows? knows? Who knows other than we are creating each moment of our lives? So let's get back on topic, Barbara. Our job is to love, and our job is to see that within ourselves and to love it. And when we do that, then things shift. Well, you want to become a master manifester, you've got to loosen up your energy field, and it gets all closed down when you're busy finding fault and blaming and separating yourself from everybody and everything. If you want to open up that creative power in you, then you've got to be able to move back into the awareness of the presence of spirit. And that's where you just go zzz, deal working out, $38,000 for air conditioners, let's fix the one we have. Oh my God, the air conditioner works. Isn't that wonderful? You want to get that zzz going on? You've got to stop clogging yourself up by separating yourself and saying, oh, God is all that there is except there. When you look in the mirror and say, God is all that there is except there. Go back to that. Go back to that. And so that it's easier, so you're not blaming somebody else who's not really there, it's you. You look inside of yourself and say, where do I do that, or where did I do that, and I haven't let it go. People say you got to forgive yourself. I'm not sure about that idea of forgiveness, because oftentimes when we have forgiveness, we've still got blame. Let me tell you about what this person did, and then I'll tell you how I forgave them. But if you still have the story, you haven't forgiven them. There is that forgive and forget aspect. So what we do is we just bring it all back into an awareness of the presence of spirit in myriad forms. Spirit is. You know, we don't all look alike. We don't all have the same experience right now. And so we get to look around and say, look at all these different aspects of me. Look at all of these beautiful, wonderful aspects of me. All growing and changing and wanting to live their lives. I love myself as me. I'm really glad I found the Center for Spiritual Living so I could connect with me. I love that. How is that going to allow me to open up to the creative flow that's moving through me as I realign myself with the presence of spirit in me, around me, through me? And I do that by bringing it back into love. What is hard for you to love? What is your button? You know, we can all pick up real atrocities. You mean I was Hitler? You mean I was Jesus? Yeah, all of that. What is hard for you to love? What is it that you've got a line in the sand about that God is everywhere and always present except in this situation? And then I encourage you to look at that and see where that lives inside of you in some kind of shame, some kind of anger, some kind of upset, which all then gets pushed out onto your family, onto the people that you work with, onto the people that you drive down the street with, and how that is simply more and more invitations to you to get it together and to heal and to grow. If we really are incubating in an egg, what do we need to do to grow and mature on the spiritual process to be aware of the presence of God in us? And as soon as we are aware of it in us, it's easy to see it on the outside, because the outside is a reflection of the inside. So if you have anybody in your life that you can play with, do this. And if it's got to be a dog or a cat or a plant, that's fine with me too. Love them. That's it. No conditions. No qualifications. Not when they do this. Not when they do that. Oh, that's just wrong. And I'm not going to love them when they do that, because then I would be giving them a wrong message. I would be reinforcing their bad behavior. No, just love them. You know, people will often do whatever it is pushes our button, just to push our button. And if we don't get our button pushed, and we just love them, there's no reason for them to continue to do that. Kids are really good with this. I have my grandchildren for the weekend. They will do things to push my button. My youngest grandson's favorite word is no. Come on, brush your teeth. No. All right, we're going to turn the TV off. No. It's 10 o'clock at night. You have to go to bed. No. 6. And so what I did is I propped him up on the couch with the pillows and the blankets and the remote control, and said, I'm going to bed, kid. I got up in the morning, he was in bed. So what is it that you are cementing in your life by resisting it? And your resistance has something to do with fear and shame. Your resistance to the outer has something to do with something that's not healed inside of you, or it would be really easy for you to love. It would be really easy for you to love everybody, everything, everywhere, everywhere. All you do is bring it back to that's me. In Lakim, in Lakesh. That's another myself. If I walked a mile in their moccasins, I would see things differently. If I had lived their life, I would be seeing the world differently. And I did live their life, and I have walked a mile, so just go ahead and see things differently. My God, not everybody sees the world like I do. What a shock. What a shock, because my way is the right way. Oh, you know you feel that way. Especially when you feel metaphysically zealot. Well, if you say that, it's going to happen. Who are you? Get away from me. And you know, there are times when we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to be called on our stuff. We don't always want to be on our game. Sometimes we have some resistance, and the best way to bring ourselves along, a la other people, is to love us. If we are not loving somebody, it's something inside of us. It's really simple. Everything on the outside is a reflection of the inside. So if you have someone in your life that is, what is the pop phrase? They're not respecting me. Well, darling, if you respected yourself, everyone would respect you. So all they're doing is showing you how you don't respect yourself. And then you respect yourself so little that you get mad at them and blame them instead of taking the opportunity to grow. It's just basic self-help. So what is it that's going on around you? People love you so much. They've gone through so much to get right in that spot. That person next to you that's clicking the pen. You know how many years they've put in to sit right next to you tonight and just irritate you? That's you. And if you can't love a pen clicker, my goodness, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, let there be peace on earth, except for those pen clickers. Where's your line? Where's your line? People who rob and steal, everybody's a thief. Everybody's a thief. Everybody's stolen something today. Think about it. What'd you take? Did you take a minute of somebody's time that was not given freely? Did you take an idea? Did you push somebody out of the way in traffic? What'd you take? Oh, look at the energy just crashed. Don't tell me I'm a thief. It's okay to be a thief. It's okay to be a thief. Take a deep breath. It gives us an opportunity to love lots and lots of people. Because we can love that inside of ourselves. Each and every one of us is a saint. Each and every one of us is a healer. Each and every one of us is a teacher. Each and every one of us uplifts the entire race of humanity. And you all did that today. How did you inspire? How did you teach someone today? Did you have an opportunity to be generous and you took it? You let them in line? You let them in traffic? They didn't even know it. I was generous to them and they just put it in and kept on going. They didn't wave at me. They didn't flash their lights. There was no acknowledgement. You don't do it for acknowledgement. That's you. You do it to love yourself. And as you love yourself, you free up that creative power to manifest your life in ways that will blow you away. They will amaze you. To where you reach out your hand in thin air and you grab that which you want. To where somebody has something and you put your hand on it and it's healed. Or you just think about it and it's healed. So that you have experiences in your life that transcend the laws of physical form. We're going to walk on fire in a couple of weeks. This is class 4. Next week is class 5. The week after that is class 6. The week after that, August Gold is going to come and do a workshop for you because John and I are going to be at the beach. The week after that, we're going to walk on fire. Because when you're clear, about who you are, you can do anything. How many people have walked on fire in this room? Look around. When you're clear about who you are, you can do anything. You can walk on fire, you can create money, you can have something that was going a direction you didn't want it to go the way you want it to go. You can transcend the laws of physical form. When you are clear, the thing that stops us from being clear is to pretend that we're separate. To pretend that you are any different from me. That you are any different from me. You are me. You are me. And I am you. So you don't get to just sit back there and go, well, if I was part of a Waterhouse, I could do all that cool stuff. If I was part of a Waterhouse, I could have my life that way. No, you are me. You are me right now. You can do anything you want to do. You just have to stop falling out of love. Because you came in love. And when you move into separation, thank you, David, when you move into separation, you fall out of love. And it feels like blame, and it feels like criticizing. It feels like, oh, ain't it awful? I can't, I shouldn't, I won't. And you lose all your power. I don't know about you, but I like power. I like it a lot. So if I see a problem in my world, I've given my power away to that problem. Whether it's I don't know, whatever it may be, I've given away my power to it, and in order to get that power back, so that I can have more money in my life, so that I can have a better physical experience, so that I can do more things that are happy and fun and joyous, I have to come back into alignment with who I am. And that means to bring it back to love. And for me, that means that I've got to be able to see whatever it is in that problem in myself. Where is my sense of inadequacy that I'm acting out people or circumstances being inadequate? They're not being enough. They're having some kind of lack. Where is that inside of me? And how do I stop making myself wrong for that but love it? And as soon as I love that, then things just transform. They just shift. But if I'm looking outside of myself and everybody in my life is simply a reflection of my consciousness, I will never stop saying that to you. They left me. Great. Great. They're a reflection of your consciousness. You left you. You abandoned you. And they were just taking the cue and following suit. So if you want to have people stay, stop leaving yourself. Stop abandoning yourself. Move back into love. If I see anything in my life that is less than what I want, it's got to come back into me. I've got to find it in myself, which sometimes takes some real honesty in me, and I've got to bring it back into love. I've got to love the parts of me no matter what they are. No matter what role I've ever played or am playing or ever will play, I've got to bring it back to love. And when I can love that inside of me, I can love that inside of you. And when I stand in love, the power is unleashed. It is unleashed. You cannot have power and fear simultaneously. We talked about that when we talked about money. People have said, gosh, you know, I'm generous. I give a lot, but this tithing thing, that scares me. Well, yes, because what we're doing is bringing up your fear so that we can get rid of it. Because you cannot have love and fear in the same place. Who was that old tiny book, Love is Letting Go of Fear? Joey, what? Jampolsky. Jerry Jampolsky. Love is letting go of fear. You can't have it at the same time. And I guarantee you, your money is based in love. Your money is based in love. Your relationships are obviously based in love. All of your stuff is based in love. Your spiritual growth is based in love. Look at the Dalai Lama. Look at Mother Teresa. They're love buckets. They're love muffins. They just go through life with love, and people are attracted to them. They follow them. They sit at their feet. They have that experience of love because love is the real power. And we diffuse it, and we get rid of it, and we clog ourselves up by separating ourselves from each other, blaming each other, holding back from each other, having some kind of story about what happened in the past and how terrible it was, and that's why I am the way that I am. It's all a crock. That was you. That was you. That was you. That was all you. And don't get me wrong, I've got my share of stories. And to be able to look at that and say, that was all me. That was all me. And I am big enough to love all the parts of me. And when I do that, I stop putting them on other people and acting that out over and over and over again. Are you big enough to love it all? Are you big enough to love all the different parts of you? The part of you that's early, the part of you that's on time, the part of you that's late. Are you big enough to love all of it? The part of you that's rich, the part of you that's comfortable, the part of you that's poor. Are you willing to love all of it? Because once you love it all comes into alignment with Spirit, and Spirit is abundant, and Spirit is joyous, and Spirit is healthy, and Spirit is expanding. And if you want your life to be that way, you've got to bring it back into love. And what you'll do is you'll reach right out into a situation and pull the good out of it, because that's what was there all the time. It was a blessing waiting to unfold. We just kept it in not suspended animation, whatever. We kept it unformed because we weren't willing to go for the blessing because we were too caught up in the story around it. It's our job to take that story, bring it into love, and watch it transform. You do it with people. You do it with dogs. You ever get a dog from the shelter? You just love the hell out of them. It's one of my favorite phrases, just love the hell out of them. Whether it's a dog or a child or a person, whether it's a contract, whether it's a car, love the hell out of it. Bring it back into heaven. And what you'll have are things that start happening faster, things that start happening more clearly, things that stay all along the path that you've set your intention for, and they don't get distracted so much. And you'll find that you have more energy, you find that you have more money, you'll find that you have more mental cognition, you'll find that you have more space inside of you. You find that you do more things, that you know how to handle things faster, because you bring it back into alignment with love. Love is not, this is what I'm going to do for you, and if I do it for you, you have to do it back for me. That's not love. That's keeping score. That's nowhere close to love. Love, as John said, is being aware of the presence of God, being able to look right in your eyes and see only God, only God, only God, only me. That you are me, and I am you. And whether or not you see me as you is your business. I see you as me. And when I do that, I let go of all kinds of old junk in my psyche. I let go of all kinds of old psychological stuff. And I move back into that awareness that I am perfect, whole, and complete right the way that I am. I don't care what I did, and I did some stuff. But I don't care what I did. I did what I did. So what? We're all doing what we're doing, and it's really okay. Bring it into alignment with love, watch the situation change, open up the energy, and go about my business of manifesting what I want. To be able to go, I have Midas touch. If I focus on something, it changes. I was talking to Larry Williams. He was cooking barbecue, and he said, oh, did you see my car? I said, no, I treated for your car weeks ago. I saw it then. He got his car. Treat for relationships, and then the relationship shows up. I know when I create something, it's there, and I know that because I've let myself off the hook for so much stuff. So much stuff I've let myself off the hook for by saying, it's okay. I'm going to love myself anyway, and I'm going to go about having my life be the way that I want it. And when someone comes into my life and they reflect an unhealed part of me, it's my job to say, that's me. Now, I gotta grant you, occasionally I get mad at myself for that. It's like, what am I doing? Still doing that? What is going on inside of me that I still haven't worked that out? That was just stupid. That was just crazy. But it's all about me. And I'm going to take it in, and I'm going to love it because I did it, and so what? Let's move on. And then watch how the energy frees up. And watch how life changes. Let's take a break.
this on? So we're gonna talk about possibilities here. You're receiving a form that has a number of statements on it with some blanks on it. What we're gonna do is just kind of go through and figure out what this is talking about. So I just guessed on who's getting one. Pass them back as quickly as you can. If you run out of forms in one row, there's probably going to be leftovers in another, so just work that out at the back of the room. You end up having to look on with somebody, that's okay too.
Any leftovers?
Yes, we have to. This form is called Relationship Rules to Love Life. Barb and I spent a lot of time working on our relationship. We have been in either 3 or 4 significant relationships, each of us in our lives. And we learned a lot early on, but really applied it very well in this relationship, which is, as of October 7th, going to be 25 years. The longest by far of any of our relationships. So obviously we figured something out. So I want to just run through these and kind of draw your attention to these ideas. What I find is if you've got blanks and you're filling them in, it's going to cause you to be a little more present with the information. So let's start at the top. How are we doing at the back end? Do y'all have them?
Everybody's got it.
Wonderful. Number 1, trust that your partner has noble intentions, exactly, and heartfelt sincerity. See, when you're disagreeing with somebody, it's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking they're wrong and thinking that somehow they're doing that just to push your buttons. But the thing is, in relationships, we've all grown up in environments that are different. Then we come together, we find commonalities, but we can't be exactly the same. We're not. Our experiences are not exactly the same. We have different experiences, therefore we have different intentions that we set forth. But all of our intentions are noble. And I mean, you may have been in a relationship with someone you thought was just there to get you. But really, they were doing life the best way they knew how as well. You chose them to be a reflection of you at that point in your life. If you see them as doing something out of integrity, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get, is that kind of experience. No, but if you see them as having clear intentions, noble intentions, saying what they're saying from a place of sincerity, that's what you'll get. So if you set the intention that that's what's coming to you, that's what you'll get. And it may take you a little while to recognize it and see it, but my experience is that you always give the other person the benefit of the doubt. You stay with them long enough to get clear about who they are. Let's look at number 2. Put your energy into understanding why something is more important to your partner, and less energy into defending your own position. Yeah, exactly. Because that's what we tend to want to do. We think we're right. We have all this life experience that tells us that this is the way to do it. And we take a stand at that position, and we forget that the other person's doing exactly the same thing. They feel absolutely certain that theirs is right. And if we're willing to look at their position and understand why they think this is so important, that gives us the opportunity for them to do that with us. If you if you stand in that position and just firmly say, no, this is the way we have to do it, this is what has to happen, we miss the opportunity of their life experience. And we may get our way a few times, but then what we're doing when that happens is if we take that stand and insist on it, we're denying the opportunity to grow into a greater reality. Number 3, focus on how much you love is good, appreciate is wonderful, your partner, especially when you disagree. That's something that has worked for Barbara and I in many cases. When we had a difference of opinion on how something should be, and just go into the love. And what happens, it's amazing. It's like, oh, this is way more important than that thing we're disagreeing on. And we just find a way to accommodate one another. And it usually involves blending our positions and honoring one another. If we remember that we're more important than the thing we're disagreeing on. We're always more important. That has been a standard that we set And it really has made our relationship work. Number 4, always be open to a greater understanding of what's going on by expanding your perceptions, and altering your beliefs. The idea of reality is a really strong concept. We all, language is so funny. The idea of having a reality is really a personal thing. What is real for me may not be real for you in the same way. We have perceptions, we have beliefs, and sometimes we think that we have to stick to those beliefs no matter what. Beliefs, my first spiritual teacher said, oh, if you have a belief you're not willing to let go of, you are so stuck you can never grow. So here's the deal. I have a reality for the way life is. Barbara has a reality for the way life is. We share our realities. Sometimes we agree. No problem. It's wonderful. Sometimes we have a difference of opinion. So what's there? I need to explore her reality because it may create a greater reality for me. Or it also might really strengthen my resolve that the way I'm perceiving this works for me. It doesn't make her reality wrong. Realities are all made up anyway. Why are we so insistent that it has to be our way? We can only do it the way we do it. So we have to be open to expanding our reality. The way to do that is not to be so deeply in love with our ideas of how life works. Be open to the possibility that there's a greater way of seeing life. And then you're actually gaining the wisdom of the people that you're around. And I'm presenting this as a one-on-one intimate relationship, but really this is about how we interact with one another all the time. Number 5, your relationship never did anything wrong. That's correct, it didn't. So don't blame it. Don't blame it.
Don't wrongify it.
Whatever works, Ben. There's even this idea that I played with that a relationship is an illusion. I have my perceptions. Barbara has her perceptions. I have mine. You have yours. And we find some way to interact at that level. But it's such a fluid thing. But I still have my perceptions. You still have your perceptions. Where's the relationship? It's an organic, ever-changing, and you can't ever even point at it. Where is it? Show me the relationship. It's this constantly changing, molding, forming, shifting thing. And that's the beauty of it. It's in the moment. What do you want it to be? So the idea of blaming it is absolutely ridiculous. There's nothing to blame. 6, choose to acknowledge your partner every day. Acknowledge your partner every day. Focus on something you appreciate about them and say it out loud. This is a lovely game. Compliments, fine too, that's great. Any of those kind of words would work here. The idea is that you're focusing on how wonderful it is to have this person in your life. Consciously, and using it almost as a spiritual practice, as a spiritual practice. So you have chosen to spend your life, a lot of your life with this person. Why find fault in them? Spend your time finding the beauty that they are, and say it out loud. Those who are introverts probably find that not as easy, but I'm an extrovert, and I want to say it out loud. It helps me to say it out loud. So complimenting Barbara on what she's wearing, what she's saying, her hair, her smile, having her a cup of coffee in the morning and telling her how wonderful it is to be able to do that. I mean, we have
25 years to life.
That's great, I like that. And do it early and often. Start your day with it. Look at that person, and if you're not in an intimate relationship, still have those thoughts about what in your life is worth acknowledging in that moment, to appreciate, to bring that presence of the divine fully activated into your life. Number 7, remember that your partner will always be true to their nature. They'll be true to their nature, more than they will ever be obedient to your expectations. How does that work? Well, this works with anybody.
Anytime you're around someone, you observe them. Don't judge them, don't find fault in them, just observe how they deal with life, what their regular modes of operation are in their life. And I assure you, if you do that objectively, you will always see that in you. Now, do people change? Yes. How lovely is that? But for the most part, people are true to the way they deal with life. They have the same stressors, they have the same concerns, they have the same buttons. They do. And they will respond accordingly, and you can count on it. And I found this particularly helpful in business relationships. I've been in a relationship with people who tend to lie under stress. When they do, I could get angry with them and say, you lie when you get upset. Well, what good is that going to do? It's just as useful for me to go, you know, when this person gets under stress, they lie. So when they're under stress, I'm not going to believe what they're saying. No problem. No problem. No problem whatsoever. Just that's who they are. You know, and if by chance they decide to do it differently, good for them. But that's the way they are. So then I never have to go, oh, how could you do that? They're just being true to their nature. Okay, no worries. As long as I'm aware of it, how could it possibly hurt me? What we tend to do, though, is we have our standards of conduct for how we are. And we want to impose them upon the people around us. I would never do that. Well, good for you. But they would. So just know it. And when they do it, be okay with it. They're being true to their nature. It's okay. What were we going to say?
Maya Angelou had a thing where when people show you who they are, believe them.
Believe them. I love that. When people show them. When people show you who they are, believe them. It's true, and it's such useful information. Who do you think's in real control of the situation in those moments? You are. Because you're not going to be surprised. You're not going to be taken advantage of. You're going to know exactly what's coming. And you can do that in your loving, personal, intimate relationship with one person too. And it's perfectly okay. Barbara and I used to have this thing. Barbara speaks with such authority that early in our relationship, I would ask her a question and she would speak with that authority in giving me an answer. And when I figured out she wasn't always right. It was that authority she spoke with was so powerful, and I so admired it. But there were times when I went, "Well, she said that, but that's not what's happened." Now I could have made Barbara wrong, or I could get that she has this gift of authority, and be okay with that, and know that maybe that's what's happening, and maybe it's not. That's fine, you know. And that's not wrong. That's just being open to see the wonderful presence that's with you. You know, it's a gift. It's all a gift. You can make it a problem, but it's really all a gift. You know, if you like puzzles, someone that will lie to you at times, they're playing puzzles with you. That's all. Don't worry about it. Just play the game. See what happens. Let it be okay. You know, everyone's doing this the best they know how, and we can change, and we often do when we're not under that pressure of thinking we have to be the way somebody else wants us to be. Quite amazing. Number 8, let your relationship stand on its own. Never see other relationships as being better than yours. That's just knocks the wind out of people when you're in a relationship and you go, I wish we were more like him. People say that to Barbara and I sometimes. I wish our relationship was more like yours. No, you don't. You need to have your relationship the way it is and the best that it can be. Barbara and I have an amazing relationship, but you can't have our relationship. It's ours. We have each other. You have what you have, and if you lay those expectations on people, they can't possibly meet your idealized idea of the way you think it should be. They can be who they are, and the way we love people is the way they are. If we think they need to be another way, it's the kiss of death. It gets in your way every single time. If you get upset with your partner, remember that what you are experiencing is a result of Your unrealized expectations. Your unrealized expectations. And we do that. We live our whole lives with expectations about the way things are supposed to be. We do it just one after the other after the other. This is the way it should be. This is the way it should be. I had one earlier as I was sitting there and Barbara introduced me and talked about how I was going to talk about love. And I was sitting there thinking, so how am I going to bring up the topic of love? And I had this plan all worked out in my head. And then Barbara introduced it just the way she was supposed to. But I had played some other kind of game in my head about how that exchange was going to happen. And I was lost for a moment. And then, and what do you do with that? Do I make Barbara wrong? Of course not. She didn't do it. Do I make myself wrong? No. I get up and do what I came here to do. That's what you do. And if you get stuck in a wrongness, you're stuck. And expectations, we have this thing in our way of thinking that if we have an expectation that doesn't happen the way we thought, there must be something wrong. That's not true. Expectations are made up. And you can unmake them as quickly as you can make them. They mean nothing more than what you say they mean. So, wonderful. I love expectations in the sense that they drive me forward because I expect something to work and I expect it to be fantastic and I expect all this. Great. If that's not the way it shows up, though, let it go. Create another one. Start over. In that moment, in that very moment, let go of it and start with something new. And if you do that, what you're doing is being present in the moment with this person that you claim is really important to you. Making them wrong, though, it's exactly the opposite. It is absolutely a great way to just mess up your day. So don't go there. Let's see here. Become a better communicator through clear, honest, and open I statements. Yes, they're wonderful. Golly, you know, this is something I've watched people in therapy work on, this idea of I statements. Okay, an I statement. I think you're wrong. No, that's not an I statement. I statement is absolutely, completely about me. I am feeling this. When you said that, I felt this way. If you didn't do it, you just said something. It doesn't matter what you said. It's that I felt this way. I took what you said and I turned it into this. That's an honest thought. That's a helpful thought. So that's giving information to your partner to say, when you say that to me, this is kind of what comes up. It's just information. It's wonderful information so that the next time that conversation happens, you may say it again, but don't expect a different feeling over here. Suddenly there's a communication. There's information passing back and forth. Communication is the essence of a healthy relationship. Communication is what it's all about. And it's not about always expressing what's important to you so that you know what's important to me. It's as much and even more listening than it is speaking. The idea is, how present are you with this person? How much are you willing to explore them and be with them in the midst of this building of an understanding and this thing we call relationship? That's the power of it. How much can you listen and then share your heart? The more you can listen, the more they will listen to you. That's really the truth about this. And the final one here is know that it is more important to be happy and aware of love than it is to be right. Golly, that's the essence of all relationships. We think we want to be right. Right is often painful. So we're going to do one more round here and run through 9 more points. Again, I have no idea how they're going to go down, but these don't have any blanks on them. But these are things that have come to me as valuable ideas around being in a healthy, loving, open, communicative relationship. Things that have really worked in Barbara's relationship with me, mine with her. And it starts with tools for sharing realities, which sounds kind of esoteric. But it was that whole idea I talked about earlier about how I have a reality, you have a reality. If we share that our realities with each other, there's the potential for us to get a greater reality. There's also the potential that it may strengthen your resolve that the way you perceive life is right. It works for you. It works for you. It's not about being right or wrong. It's simply about what works for you. My first spiritual teacher, Ken Dyer, said to me that you have to be always open to shift your reality. If you are unwilling to shift your reality, then you're going to go to war with the world. Nobody needs to do that. So I want to go through these statements and just elaborate on them for the next few minutes. The first one says, early on, you will know whether or not you are compatible with a certain person. Once you know this, stop questioning. Don't reassess the relationship every time you have a disagreement. Anybody relate to that? You know? Oh, no, I don't know if I can live with this. No. You can live with lots of people. I don't want to suggest that you could cohabitate and have an intimate relationship with anybody. That's not so. But you know pretty quick if this thing is working for you. If you're stepping into a relationship, if you're in a relationship, don't question it. Don't keep going, oh, should I stay? I don't know if I should stay. And people do that, that's powerful. It doesn't work. If you're in a relationship, you know, here's the metaphysics of this. If you are in a relationship and you're finding fault in your partner, and you're thinking you should leave that relationship because of the fault in your partner, who are you going to go get into a relationship with? The same exact experience with a different body style. You know, the same one. So why don't I just stay where you are and work it out there and learn what you want to learn? Because you're looking for something. And it's right there in front of you. If that person's pushing your buttons, it's because you have something to work out. Might as well do it where you are. I mean, you could go back to partying and finding somebody new, but you're going to end up in the same place. And you're going to think that that person you left and that one that you're with now are somehow communicating with each other. And maybe with the 2 or 3 before that. But the truth is that the common thread is you. It's you. So you're not going to work it out better with somebody else than you're working it out with now. Now I say that having had another marriage before this, and Barbara having 2 marriages before ours. Those were wonderful training sessions. And now we use that as a way to see how wonderful things are working out with us. You can do that at your family reunions. Bless those people for showing you how well you're doing. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. The second one on here says, avoid ever thinking or saying your partner is wrong. Fault finding creates defensiveness and discontent, which resolves nothing. Barbara and I have an agreement. We're going to talk about agreements down this list. We do not make each other wrong. And we hold each other accountable to that. So that if I am saying something that looks like I'm saying Barbara's wrong, all she has to say is, excuse me, are you saying that I'm wrong? And I have to rethink everything. No, of course not. Actually, and then I take it into a thing that has no judgment, because we know how to do that, and there's no need to make anybody wrong. Nobody's wrong. It's all just how we perceive life. None of us is wrong. Are we quirky? Do we have our little idiosyncrasies? Absolutely. But that's not wrong. That's who we are. It's our personalities. To say someone is wrong is somehow to try to rise above them, and you're not. Nobody in this room is more the presence of the divine than anyone else. No one is less the presence of the divine than anyone else. That is who we are. So to make wrong, to find fault in somebody, is an attempt to diminish them. And you will not find God doing that. And trust me, even though you're the one finding fault in them, they will not lose from that. You will. You're the one that loses in that circumstance. So we have this rule, and it really works in our lives. I don't think we had that little comment made for quite a while. Expect only from your partner that to which you have both agreed. Agreements are the highest form of clear communication. Agreements are sacred trusts. And this is how you create an agreement. Is it okay with you that? Is it okay with you, when you complete the statement, is it okay with you that I go out to the ball game with my friends on Thursday night? Yes or no? Either way gives you all the information you need. If the answer is no, explore that. If the answer is yes, go, ooh, I'm out. Whatever works. The idea of, is it okay with you that, allows you to have that sacred connection at the point of understanding. Now, this isn't just about intimate relationships, this is about anyone, and some of the places where this was really wonderful was in my relationship with Barbara's son, Matthew, who moved in with us when he was 16. And he learned how to play this game really well. And we would negotiate this way. Is it okay for you that you clean up after yourself? Well, all the time? Yeah. What's in it for me? Because I don't mind a mess. You know, and we would negotiate and talk about it, and we would find ways for it to work. And we always found a way. And it was that we were dealing as equals on that. Yes, we had different perspectives about how it should be, but we found a way to make it work. So that what we came to was, in that particular case of picking up after himself, was he had to pick up everywhere in the house but his room. He could leave his room any way he wanted it. That was hard on Barbara for a while. But it was wonderful, and sometimes we'd have to kick it in the door so we could close it. But the rest of the house looked good, and we had an agreement to keep it that way so that we could have guests, and it wouldn't be stuff everywhere. But in that room, it was that way. It was a totally different sense of order. Of course, Matthew fell in love with a young lady who had a high sense of order and called that into his experience. So he is very organized now. See? God is everywhere. So use agreements. Don't presume that you have an agreement until you say it out loud. Is it okay with you that we do this? Is it okay with you that we go over there and do that? Is it okay that we have the kids over? And it always works. It always works. And if I say yes, it's okay, then I doggone better mean it. In fact, I think that's down on the list somewhere. Yeah, that's number 5. Let's slip down there right now. I'll come back to 4. Only agree to do what you can do joyously. Acting out of obligation breeds contempt and resentment. So use these agreements, but don't say yes to be nice. Understand what you're agreeing to and then do it. That's really important. Let's go back to 4. If you agree to something and find that for whatever reason you are not going to keep that agreement, ask to change it. Breaking an agreement, then seeking forgiveness is manipulative and disrespectful. I've worked with agreements and then found that people, they would make agreements and then they go, my car broke down, or I had to stay late at work, or whatever. That's garbage. If you make an agreement, keep the agreement. It's a sacred trust. And if you find that you absolutely can't, don't wait till after you haven't kept it. Because that's unacceptable. If you said you would do it, that's your honor, that's your name. You said you would do something. But if you know that you're not getting there, it's not going to happen, call, connect somehow, and do everything you can to change the agreement, to ask to change the agreement. It looks like it's going to be impossible for me to be there by 7. If I'm there by 7:15, are we okay? People will feel so respected. Just take the time and don't try to clean it up afterwards. That's just doesn't work. An agreement is a sacred trust. You keep your agreements. And when you don't, there's a price to pay. And what you're doing is you're taking a notch out of that goodwill that you're building in that relationship. It's hard to build that back. Because if you think being true to your nature is promising the world and then delivering whatever's convenient, you're playing a pretty low game. So work on that. And what I've found is that when you hold agreements at that high level, you tend to be in relationship with people that hold agreements at that high level as well. People are glad to come up to that level. And your job as a spiritual being alive and well on planet Earth is to encourage those around you to come up and to play a lovely high-level game with you. Let's see what else is on this list. If you have a disagreement, don't try to fix it. Instead, stay open and respectful as you seek to understand and find common ground. Yeah. The disagreement's not the problem. The disagreement's an opportunity to learn more. Always learn more. Always seek to understand more deeply. There's not a problem. We so quickly in our culture and the way we think want to say, oh, this is a problem. This isn't a problem. This is an opportunity. What can I learn from this? God's not in the problem? This thing you call a problem? Of course God's in the problem. It has to be. So find God. Find what it is that is the glimmering light amidst the muck. Emerson, even in the muck and mire of things, something sings. That's God. Every time you think there's a problem, oh, what are we going to do? This is a terrible problem. Something wonderful is happening. Something wonderful is about to emerge, but you've got to see it. And where does this happen most often in our life? With the person that we wake up with in the morning. Why is that? Well, they're the safest person to freak out around. They're the safest person to fall into some lesser level of consciousness. They'll forgive you more quickly than most people will. But that's no reason to take advantage of that person. That's a good reason to be more mindful of them, more present with them. Because they're willing to go to bed at night with you and wake up with you in the morning. Isn't that wonderful? Appreciate that and honor that. Because you're not the easiest person to live. I love number 7. Don't keep score. And who has done what in your relationship? Instead, focus on being generous with your thoughts and actions right now. Spend your time being generous. I love that line that Barbara came up with. If you have the opportunity to be generous, take it all day long. And you know what it does? It sounds like, oh, well, I have to be nice to everybody. But you know what? As you experience that in your life by giving generously compliments and attention and your loving feelings to those people around you, who really gets lifted up? You do. Of course, that's the beauty of it. I love it when somebody around here says, I just can't be around you anymore because you are too happy. I love that. What a compliment. What a compliment. I'm not ready to be lifted up as high as you want me to be lifted up. Well, great. Come see me when you are. You know? I just think that's the most wonderful thing in the world. And what happens in an intimate relationship is you get used to that. You get used to lifting each other. I found this teaching through this woman. I sat in the front row of that church in Miami for almost 5 years, on almost the aisle in front, watching her speak. And I've heard all the greats in this movement, all the great teachers. There's nobody as good as her in my life. And I believe it to the depths of my being. And I have no trouble telling her that. I have no trouble telling anybody that. And because of that, I am so blessed to sit on the front row and hear her speak on Sunday morning. It's what gift. I get that gift because I claim that gift because I know who she is. You know? That's how it works. So you think you're giving something to somebody to say that? And you are. But you're getting it back. There's no such thing as altruistic action. That giving and not getting? Oh, no. Whatever you give to life, life gives you so much more back. You can't outgive God. And that's what intimate relationships are about, is having a relationship with God. That's what it's all about. Let's see. To avoid linking events from your past to your current situation, ask yourself that universal question: when have I felt this way before? When have I felt like this before? If you find yourself suddenly having your buttons pushed, there's something wonderful about saying, okay, I'm upset right now. When has this happened before? If you go back and look at something, you'll see where it happened before and you'll see a pattern. And as soon as you see the pattern, all you have to do is step out of it. I don't want to do that anymore. Like that. you're upset. You know, the problem, I think, is that some of us enjoy being upset. We need to get over that. We need to say, I would rather be in the space of enjoying this moment than struggling through it, because struggling is familiar. And the way to get past it is to choose to get past it. That whole thing we talked about with emotions yesterday, the idea, as soon as I see where I am and what I'm doing, I can be free of it. My teacher had this wonderful gig. He would grab a coffee cup and say, if you walk around with a coffee cup in your hand long enough, you'll cease to know there's a coffee cup in your hand. You won't remember that it was there. It's just the way life is. However, if you set the coffee cup down, look at it, suddenly it's not part of your life because you were aware of it. So the trick is with your emotions, be aware of them. Don't just settle into them. Be aware of your emotional state. See it, and then choose. What do you want to feel right now? You want to feel that? It's very familiar. Pissy, but it's very familiar. Very uncomfortable, but you've been doing it long enough, you know how to do this. Or do you want to feel something that's lighter and more rich? Choice, always a choice. And the beauty of intimate relationships is that this person's willing to go through this stuff with you. And if they're not, they'll leave. And that's their choice. We're always a choice. Every day we get up, we're making a choice. This is my path. I'm choosing this path today. I'm choosing this path today. And nothing is better in my life than waking up next to Barbara. Nothing. And every morning, I sit up in bed and I say thank you. And I go make her coffee. Clarifying questions. These are very powerful. What am I making this situation mean? Every situation is neutral. What am I making it mean? The best way to find out what it means to somebody else is to ask them. And the same thing is true for ourselves. Okay, what am I making this mean? I seem to be offended by this, or I seem to be angered by this. What am I making this mean? Is that what was intended here? Was somebody trying to get me to be angry? No, probably not. They were just saying the way they see it. What am I making this mean? What do I want this to mean? And you can turn it around to anything you want it to be. Do we have all the information we need, or is there something more for us to know? You know, we take a stand in a situation, and we think we know everything, but how often do we stop to say, okay, what else is there to know here? There's always something more to know. Always. Because if we are myopically focused on a circumstance and a set of information and a set of data, we are not seeing the whole picture. So the question is, what more is there for me to know? Can we create a new agreement? If there's an issue with something, do we even have an agreement? And often that happens. Somebody interviewed me about people being unfaithful in their marriages. And I pointed out in most every wedding ceremony I've ever heard, no matter how traditional or non-traditional, I never hear the celebrants say, and do you promise never to have an intimate relationship with anybody else on the planet? They don't say that. Yet it's assumed. It's assumed in our culture that if you're marrying someone, you're never going to have an intimate relationship with another human being. And what is it? We're like 60, 70% of marriages have outside affairs and things. Why is that? Because we don't have an agreement. You want that agreement? Ask for it. I'm serious. If that's important to you, ask for it. Don't presume. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that in front of all of your family. But if you want to live your life with this person, you want it to be a monogamous relationship, same. Are you willing to have a monogamous relationship with me? People don't ask. And then they're shocked when something happens. No. You got to have an agreement. And that's just an example. You can do this with all kinds of things. You know, one of the things when Barbara and I were first together, we were talking about living together, and I had made a personal choice not to have alcohol in my life, not to have it in my home. And it wasn't that I'm an alcoholic. It was just that I was on a spiritual path that said drugs and alcohol aren't the thing to do. And I had made that agreement when I lived in Australia. And out of that, Barbara stopped drinking alcohol. Just flat stopped drinking alcohol. And every day was not pretty with that. There's some work to do. And bless her, I've never seen anybody as clear and focused with intention in my life. But we had agreements around even that. The deal was, is wherever we were, even if we got invited to dinner at the White House, and they were serving alcohol and she wasn't comfortable, I would get up and leave with her. That was our agreement. She only called that out a couple of times. One when we were over at the big stadium in Miami, and we were working a booth making money for a nonprofit, and beer sloshing around all over the place, and Barbara looked at me and said, "It's time to go." I said, "Bye everybody," and off we went. Because that was the agreement. And it worked. It really worked. These are the kind of things you get to do with agreements. The last one on the page is, in this moment, what or who is most important? It's that whole idea of you can be right all day long. But how important is that compared to what's really important in your life? And oftentimes you'll find that that person that you're in that grapple with is more important than winning an argument. So these are the rules that we use. These are the ideas that we use to have a very successful relationship. And I offer them to you to use in any way that you like. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.
So you've gotten great stuff tonight, you've gotten great food, Chris, and I don't need that. And I love this class, I'm having so much fun in this class. Thank you for spending Monday nights with us. Take out what you're gonna give, hold it in your hand. And what I know is that God is the source of all supply, that money is God in action, that we are rich. We live in an abundant universe. We are prosperous, we are blessed. And right here and right now, we open up even more to the awareness of the presence of Spirit as substance and supply right here and right now. I know that each of us comes together to set spiritual law in motion by giving this gift. And the only thing that can happen is that we attract more of what we give away. We create more of what we put out into life. So get ready, because God has ways of giving us money that we have never even dreamed of. Open up your mind to infinite possibility. Open up your heart to know that you deserve to be blessed and rich in this life. And then open up your hand and let that gift go ready to accept all that life has for you. I know that each one of us comes together this night to make this center all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And so it is. Hold the energy in the room. We are creating. We are appreciating. We are manifesting. We are money magnets. I know that our lives are blessed with wonderful relationships, with vibrant health, with abundant prosperity. That whatever we focus upon comes into form. We are clear, powerful manifestors of every good thing. We bring it all into alignment with the awareness of the presence of Spirit. We command the force of all creation. Things in the future, things in the past have all come together to support what we are creating in our lives. Hold that energy.
Anyone else need to touch these baskets?
And what I know is that everything in these baskets is blessed because we are the blessing. We are God in form as us. And as we give, whether it's money, whether it's a hug or a smile or a thought whatever it is, that which we are goes out with our giving. There is only one. And so that energy I like to see as a golden light pouring forth from each of us, filling up this room from the floor to the ceiling, all between the walls. This air is rich and blessed with God as us. It touches every one of us. It blesses us. It awakens us. It quickens us. It heals us. And then out it goes to touch the greater whole. Every being on this planet, to awaken, to quicken, to touch, to bless, to heal. Each and every one of us. Always here, always now. Everyone who's ever been here and everyone yet to come. And so it is. I love you. Have a wonderful week. Come on Sunday.